Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Dudley, and I appreciate you listening to this tutorial. We're working today with goalposts that are being changed continuously. I have many people contacting me for the exemption letters that I write. I currently write 4, and one is based upon the states that are writing mandates for requiring face coverings or muzzles. And I write these with the language that is actually in the specific mandates by the governors and state health departments and the exemptions that are quoted. So when you use these letters, they are as legal and lawful as anything presents itself. So as long as you stand up with those exemptions, they cannot lawfully refuse you entrance to whether it's a school or a gymnasium or a music concert hall or a store. However, there are many people who are unaware of the law. So this is an opportunity to not only educate yourself, but to educate those who are acting as puppets for these tyrants who are unlawfully keeping you from living your life freely. I'm getting a series of emails back from people, specifically in California, who are working to present these exemption letters to schools. And curiously, the State Health Department of California is adding their own verbiage. They're upping the ante. And they're saying now that they have a team, a health team, who's determining whether or not these exemptions can be accepted. And that they are requiring that allopathic, American Medical Association, Rockefeller created, doctor or nurse practitioner who falls under the same category must sign these exemptions. However, nowhere in the health departments and governors' mandates for these exemptions does it have this wording in it. So they keep changing the goalposts. And one thing that's very important to know is that they are in violation of creating a more stringent, more strict mandate than federal. So if you look at the CDC, they do not have a definition of who a medical practitioner is. A medical practitioner is anyone who practices medicine, and no one has the authority to define that. It is not a legal term. I can go to a local shaman, and that local shaman can be my medical practitioner. I can go to a homeopath. I can go to an herbalist. I can go to a reflexologist. I can go to a chiropractor. I can go to a naturopath. And that naturopath or any of those medical practitioners can be around the corner, they can be across the state, they can be across the country, they can be in Pakistan, they can be in the UK, they can be in the Netherlands. There is absolutely no law on the books stating that the person that I choose to help me in my healing process must come from my own state in which I'm living. And so we're being met with all these different goalpost changes, and we must stand up and speak with authority about knowing and understanding what our rights actually are. So stand strongly and don't let these tyrants push you over. They're trying, but they can't succeed, because truly, all you have to do in response to them is say, show me the law that states that I must work within the guidelines of what you're presenting to me. Show me the law. And when you show me the law, then I will comply. And there is no law, because only the state legislature can pass a law. So that in and of itself is something that they cannot respond to and force you, and therefore as legal guardians over your children, to force you to have a mask put on that child. Now, there is a there are two constitutional lawyers who have a website in the state of, I believe it's Virginia, called the Citizens of the American Constitution. And today we have an opportunity to learn about common law. Learning about common law is important because the law that is being practiced by bar attorneys and the courts in this country is contract law. But common law is based upon our actual individual rights. So we are born with rights. We are born with unalienable rights. And these rights, no one can take from us. And we need to learn about this so that we can stand in the face of these bullies who are attempting to take away our rights, our freedoms, to impose medical procedures upon our children and ourselves. So this is a very important educational time for all of us. We must learn about this. I want to share this with you because it is going to be a major part in our win over these tremendously evil players who are attempting to take away our rights and force medical procedures. So I've been getting letters responding back to the exemption letters that they've presented to their schools. And I asked Margie Flynn, the constitutional attorney of Citizens of the American Constitution, the following question. I said, the California Health Department has now added to their mandates, quote, persons exempted from wearing a face covering due to a medical condition, as confirmed by the school district health team and therapists. In other words, they are also stating that no parent and no one else other than the school district health team and therapists can actually write an exemption letter for the child that is attending the school. So I say, now as I write exemption letters complying with the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, as a healthcare practitioner, the state of California is deciding to make it mandatory that the school's own health team assess the situation. Now, if you understand that the California Government Code 37100 is actually being violated under the California Health Department, because they are making more stringent a state code, or actually it's not a code, it's a state mandate over a federal mandate, actually a law. So I got a return response from Margie Flynn, and I wanted to read this. And I would like everyone, including myself, to study it thoroughly, to understand it, because our power is here. She says, while people can certainly use exemptions, both religious and others, if they choose, in our view, the best way to do it is to send the officials a strong constitutionally based affidavit declaration of truth, in which the parents state the unconstitutional actions of the officials in attempting to mandate mask wearing or injections or whatever else these tyrants attempt to do. And I'm going to insert something, because I have two exemptions that also follow along these lines, where basically we're stating that you prove without any doubt that these procedures do no harm. So she goes on to say, the people need to fully comprehend, to truly understand the fact that government in any form has no lawful constitutional authority or any other form of valid authority to force students or anyone else to do anything to their bodies. which they do not want to do, especially when doing so can potentially harm their bodies. Government has no rights. Government either has lawful authority for its actions or it does not. Government cannot lawfully do or order or mandate anything that violates the constitutions, the inherent rights guaranteed therein to the people, and the due process of the law, period. If constitutional authority for an action, order, or a mandate, they're all synonymous, does not exist, and it does not, no legislature has passed this, then government has no authority to do it. So all these governors and mayors and state health departments and the CDC actually have no authority, none. What is written in the Constitution is the limited authority the people, as the masters of this republic, this United States of America, this republic, have delegated to their public servants who hold offices in the machinery of governments throughout this nation. What is not written in the Constitution is prohibited by the Constitution. Now, we need to understand this. Most of us do not understand that the Constitution actually is powerful, but we must understand how to use it. All public officers take oaths to the Constitution as required pursuant to Article 6 of the Constitution, clauses 2 and 3, also called the Supremacy Clause, which states that the Constitution is the, quote, supreme law of the land, unquote, to which all public officers are bound by oath. Thus, they are constitutionally mandated to uphold the Constitution superior to any and all lesser laws from any source, especially those that violate the Constitution in any manner. And what we're seeing, folks, is that all of these mandates, these guidelines from the CDC, from the World Health Organization, WHO, from our governors and our state health departments, are violating the Constitution. There is no law. They have not gone through the legislative process. So, thus, they are constitutionally mandated to uphold the Constitution to superior to any and all lesser laws from any source, especially those that violate the Constitution in any manner. And no state law can be more stringent than federal. So that is the Government Law Code 37100 in the state of California. On one side, we have the Constitution, the people's inherent unalienable rights and due process of law. On the other side, guidelines and mandates, which is what the governor and all of their puppets are attempting to put in place, most of which oppose and violate the Constitution. They're contrary, they're in violation. The choice for public officers is clear. Uphold the Constitution, not the lesser statutes, codes, regulations, rules, policies, orders, guidelines, and mandates. However, the public officers are not doing that. Each and every human being owns his or her own body. Governments do not. As in one wonderful video that I recently saw and have been sending out to folks, the federal government is not a hospital. The state of California is not a hospital. San Diego County is not a hospital. LA County is not a hospital. We are the ones, and our Creator, who are responsible for making the decision what happens to our bodies. Children are considered their parents' property. So parents have the say over what can and cannot be done to their children's bodies. Governments do not. Schools do not. Americans have the right to life, liberty, and property, which cannot lawfully be taken from them without constitutionally compliant due process of law. So our due process of law is being violated, and we must stand up to this. Government has no authority to set aside the Constitution or the constitutions, both state and federal, and guarantees and protections secured therein to and for the people, no matter what government claims. The government is a rogue government today. This is not government by the people. This is government by corporations, by totalitarian communist takeover. It is all false rhetoric and bluster intended to intimidate the ignorant, gullible people into obeying and abiding by their unconstitutional orders, guidelines, and mandates. However, Americans have no constitutional obligation to obey any unconstitutional orders, guidelines, and mandates. They do, however, have a constitutional duty to expose and oppose all unconstitutional orders of any type for any reason. The constitutional way is the best way to stop these mandates. The other means are not necessarily wrong, but they miss the most important point that must be made to all governments in any form at any level. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, to which they are all bound, and which mandates specific performance to uphold the Constitution at all times. There is no excuse or reason for them to not do so. And when they do, they perjure their oaths and invoke sections 3 and 4 of the 14th Amendment. They perjure their oaths, thereby vacate their office and forfeit all benefits thereof, including salaries and pensions. They have no immunity of office and stand on their own as criminals who have stepped outside and exceeded the lawful scope of the limited authority that the people delegated to them by and through the Constitution. We, the people, voted them into office. We, the people. They are not kings. They are not there to stand alone. We are a republic. If you don't have the material on the affidavit process, then I can send that to you. And it is from the Citizens of the American Constitution, Jack and Margie Flynn. Remember, the First Amendment guarantees the people the right to redress their grievances to government, and a constitutionally based affidavit is an excellent way to do this. These miscreants have no comeback for the Constitution and their duties. They're under, pursuant to their oaths, and they know it, which is why they create millions of statutes to confuse and complicate the simple truth that they are mandated by law to obey and uphold the Constitution. So it's our job, folks, to have them uphold the Constitution. So this is why they belittle people who use the Constitution or try to use it, but are so timid and unsure of themselves that they typically fold in the face of a challenge, thus fail their objectives. Ignorance is not bliss, and at this very scary time for America and humanity, it may well prove to be fatal to all of us. So folks, we need to stand strongly. The exemption letters are a really good way to get your foot in the door, to let them know you mean business. And if they ignore your rights, then following up with an affidavit and the affidavit process. If we do not hold their feet to the fire, we lose. and we lose for our children, and we lose our children's rights. We lose our children's freedom and their children's freedom. We can't let this go. Stand strongly. Let us work together and bring good over evil in this war against humanity.